Hey everyone, this is another Cook With Me video, and today we're going to cook some beef pepper rice. Now this is a recipe that you can find in some Asian restaurant. They have a chain. I'm not going to claim that this is that recipe, of course. It is something that is a bit similar. Idea is to have some fried rice with quite a lot of butter and some very thinly grilled meat in some sauce. The sauce is either honey sauce or garlic sauce. You can adjust, of course, the pepper to your taste, but I would say it's a generally liked dish, very popular. It's nothing extremely fancy, and yet it is also very good. I totally love to go to that place just to have that. Here's what we're going to need. So I'm Mr. Basil, and Cook With Me videos, you basically get those ingredients and you should be able to follow me at the same time or watch cooking at real-time speed, so that I will explain also how to cook. But let's start with ingredients so that you can follow me. And remember, everything is in the description, ingredients and timestamps, so that you can directly jump to the time when we start cooking if you want to prepare first. So what you need first and foremost is some meat. The beef, here in this case, you can have it in whatever kind of shape or form. I think all would work. The weight is also very flexible. Here I have around between 200 to 300 grams. Even in the restaurant, you can see that they have the normal menu and the one with double beef menu. So completely up to you. We need about 1 can of corn. This is around 300 grams of corn, butter, and black pepper. So beef, corn, butter, and pepper will be the main ingredients to make beef pepper rice. And the rest will be for the sauce. For the pepper, you can use, of course, a little grinder. No, it's not a grinder. I forgot the term. I'll use a mortar and pestle, simply to have the grind a bit bigger, but whatever works for you is fine. So black pepper, I'll just put it aside for now to explain the rest of the ingredients. So what we'll need for the sauce. Here will be a bit flexible. Like I said, there are two sauces. I will make the one with honey and onion, which is the honey sauce. And there's another version where you just basically have garlic, soy sauce, and cornstarch without the honey and onion. You just put a bit more garlic, and that will basically give you the garlic sauce. And I'm not going to explain it, but basically if you take out those two and increase the garlic, you have the other one, and you can choose to either grill the garlic early, like crispy grill it, to have that very garlic crispy flavor, like when it's golden. It's very different flavor. Or you can choose to have it a bit more raw and instead have a little bit of that spicy garlic. That's totally up to you. Both, I think, are delicious. I'll make the one with honey so that you can see how it goes. Okay, let me put some of... fine, I can leave it here. Oh, and not to forget, almost forgot, rice. You can use Japanese rice. There is also another recipe. A lot of this is inspired by a recipe that you will find also in the description. They suggested Japanese rice. I like to use some Asian Thai tomali rice that is like a long rice. They should both work. Ideally, you want to have this rice done the night before, so that it is for fried rice, so that it is just easier to fry. It's more dry. It dries out overnight in the fridge. The way we're going to do it today, so that you can see how it goes. If you haven't done it the day before, if you do it the day before, just cook it like normal. What I do is I use a rice cooker. Also, if you need to prepare something, prepare some grilling pan, like heavy, like need some weight so that it can really grill. And you will want some kind of blender. It doesn't need to be a a stick blender, just some blender for the sauce. Okay, for the rice, you can cook it yourself. If you don't have a rice cooker, I do recommend to have a rice cooker. It just makes things so much easier. So for the rice, we need about 300 grams. We're going to make 4 dishes, like usual. So it's only about quantity of rice and water. That's the most important. Here, putting 300 grams. Normally, I would multiply it by 2.4 to have the total weight, water included. But here, I'm going to reduce the water so that I only multiply just by 2.3 to have it a bit drier, given I want to have it today. So 300 times 2.3, that's 600, 3 times 3, 9, so 690. So I'm adding some water first. Here I'm washing a bit the rice to get some of the corn, the starchy out of it. So it's a bit milky color. You don't have to do that, but it's something that most people do. And so removing the first batch of water, kind of, to get it clean, adding some more water. My weight is still not reset, so it still shows kind of the weight that I had before. So it will include the water and the rice when I put it back. So now let's see if I have around just below 700. I have just above. So aim, remember, for about 690 grams, everything together. And the 650, just there, done, 690. In the rice cooker, cooking, waiting to be done. It will tell us when it's done and a bit before. Good. We can do the meat, of course, that will take some time to cut thinly. But I will start with the sauce, simply because I want to get the onion to caramelize slowly. For that, you need a small onion, of course, and going to cut it. My knife is already sharp, so I don't need to sharpen it anymore. Cut the onion. I'd like to cut it in half, and then cut the tip of it, just to make it easy to grab. Like here, generally the first layer, even including the onion, will be a bit thinner than the rest. If you cook it, it will be quite dry, even if it looks like quite fine here. It will be, I generally remove it because it will be drier. I stop at the first layer that this gets thicker at the moment it gets thinner. So here, just cut the tip a bit and just remove. It's a trade-off. You can choose, of course, to keep it. Anyway, I don't need so much onion. We need about 1 to 2 tablespoons of finely chopped garlic. So for the garlic, once you have it here, cut, right? Remove the skin in half. We're just going to cut it very thinly. During that time, I can even put the pan on a very slow fire just to get it warm. And we're going to put some oil. Normally I would not use any oil, but here I'm going to use peanut oil simply because the olive oil will be a bit strong for that sauce. It's an Asian sauce. They generally don't put olive. Butter is perfectly fine. So just around 1 tablespoon of oil, slowly heating. During that time, cutting the onion thinly. We're going to blend it at the end. So I just want to have the onion like caramelize a little bit inside the pan. Second half as well. By being caramelized, it will be a much more pleasant flavor than being more raw onion with the honey. It's not really caramelizing, right? But it's not caramel, but it's removing a lot of the acidity of the onion in the water first, of course. So in the pan. There we go. Going to show you. Onion in the pan with a little bit of oil. And this is going to caramelize slowly. So that's why I said I'm going to start with the sauce slowly. Can turn it a little bit to spread it around so that it can go a bit everywhere. I will add just a tidbit more oil, making sure that it can reach a bit everywhere to soften well. Good, during that time, let's do the meat. I could do it on the normal board. I tend to prefer to use another one if I do meat mix. Just food hygiene, making it a bit safer when using meat. And here I have, it's actually pre-cut in slices. Why do they cut it in slices? That is silly. That's not going to help me at all. And by the way, this is the lowest strength for the onion. Okay, for the beef, just want to cut it in very, very thin strips, as thin as possible, basically, because we want it to grill very quickly later. So I just put my meat and you try to slice it as thinly as you can. I'm afraid there's not a lot of great tips here outside of having a sharp knife. Like my knife is sharp, so I have no problem making strips that are relatively thin. If you want to make it thin, of course, you freeze it and avoid to get a meat that is so thin. That's my mistake. So ideally you want to have a thick piece of meat and cut everything yourself. Yes, here I'm going to make long strips, but you want usually, I mean, if you like kind of squarish, we'll actually put it in half, will make things much faster. There we go. You can marinate it. I don't think it is necessary for this dish, and what I don't like with marinade is that if you just do a marinade for 20 minutes, you will end up with more juicy meat, making it actually harder to grill it properly. Because either the juice is going to stick to the pan more easily than the purely meat, or burn there, or it will actually it will not grill as well. If you want it to grill, you need it to leave it overnight. So just 20 minutes I think is not really that useful for grilling, for a marinade. I will more do a marinade overnight or not at all and season anything after. The beef, by the way, as you're cooking, we're going to split it in four serving sizes, because at the end we're going to fry every plate individually in our frying pan. We can, like, one plate at a time. It will be quick, but we need to do it one plate at a time, else we cannot fry it properly, or it will look not that great either. Okay, mostly through for my meat. If you have any issues, just pause the video, you can slow down. At the moment, I have no idea how you're doing. So do let me know after you've cooked, like usual. Careful for the fingers, of course. You know the bear claw. Everyone knows that. And there we go. Good. So I have a bunch. All my meat is now around like that. It's very thin. It will grill quickly. I'm splitting it roughly in four equal serving say roughly because I know that I will have some people that want to have a bit less, so I'm giving them a slightly less serving. Sounds like a good excuse not to make them equal, but it's actually true. Good. Now I wash my knife, simply hygiene. The onion is getting caramelized. It's in the process. Not quite there yet, but it's really, it's quite close actually. It's quite close. Let me show you. Yeah. As you can see, it's getting really a little crispy color for some of them, not all of them, not yet all. Some of them haven't colored. Good. This will finish soon. Let's take 2 cloves of garlic, 1 or 2, depends on how much you like garlic. Cut once, squash it a little bit, will help the peeling a lot. Cut one side a bit like the onion, cut the other end, like not completely. I would leave the, if you imagine like the crust outside, I leave the part below, so I just cut the top and I use that as a lever to basically here have my garlic and I can open it and it's just whole. This one is just tiny bit brownish on some sides, so I'm going to cut that out. There. Like I said, I don't need so much. So remember, you tap it, then cut it partly through and cut partly through. And there you can remove everything. There. That's how easy it is to get your garlic skin out. Now that the garlic skin is out, just going to chop it very thinly. If you don't want to chop it thinly because it's difficult, you take the knife, put it flat, press it first, so that if you press after you're going, if you just hit it, it's going to jump on the side likely. Now that it's pressed, boom, spank it, and you have crushed garlic, which is perfectly fine. Okay, this is well golden. I'm going to stop it. Removing this part, and this one I will just chop thinly. Come on, work with me. In thin slices first. That's where you hear me scream, "Ah!" because I cut my finger. It didn't happen in a long time. Don't worry. Even though you never know when you're filming yourself that everything bad happens, right? I don't need to cut it extremely thin. The reason I'm doing it is because I want to get a lot of the flavor in the sauce before I blend it, like just to cook it a little bit, very little, for the before blending. So good, it's in. Now, like I said, just heating it slightly with the garlic, with the onion, onion and garlic, just a few seconds. I don't want it to be golden on this one, on the garlic, and there we have it. So this is relatively crispy onion. Okay, I put it on the weight simply because that's one way to add ingredients without without using a lot of containers, say. Good. What we're going to need now is around 2 teaspoons of soya sauce. This is a Kikkoman sauce, if you want to be a bit specific. So 2 tablespoons, not teaspoon, 2 tablespoons. So here, 1, 2, and we'll need that a bit later. To wash my measuring spoon. Additional to that, we need 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. So cornstarch, 1 teaspoon. We don't have a lot of liquid, so we're going to mix it with that short amount of liquid. It will be easy. Putting back the cornstarch. And that's what I'm going to do. Mix cornstarch. You don't want any crumbles. If you add the water before, it will be a bit harder, not easier. Good. Let me see what I wrote. 1/8 of salt. It's optional. It's a tiny bit of more salt. It's just making it a bit more salty on the tongue, but so that the sauce comes out a bit more. It's around 1/8 of teaspoon. And I will even put, no, I don't need even any more sodium glutamate. Don't need any. And now the honey and water. If you're making the version, of course, without honey, you didn't put the onion, and you're going to put a bit more water, if I remember, something like around 70 milliliter of water. Here, going to put instead around 40 milliliter of honey, so that's roughly 40 gram. That's how it goes. It should be around a good tablespoon. I'm mixing teaspoon and tablespoon tonight. It's 50. It's a bit much. I don't want it to be too much honey. There, 40. And that's for me. Don't tell. I will not tell. Don't tell. Good. Back. Now water. 50 milliliter of water. And again, putting it to 0 on my weight. 50 milliliter, that's 50 gram. And there we go. And now we simply blend it. Yes, I could have done that in the blender, like that mixing. But keeping it in the pan, it just keeps it hot, makes it a bit easier to mix the honey first, but totally could have put it first in the container and done the rest in the blender. So I'm mixing a bit, like I said, while it is quite still warm. That sauce you can keep in the fridge for some time, especially the honey keeps a bit longer than the one without, like honey kind of preserves a little bit more. Still you want to eat it, I would say, within a few days. This amount of sauce will suffice for all our dishes. So if you want to have a different sauce for different people, you can either make both and waste half of it, or you make half of the quantity. Easy, right? Good. It's in. Now some noise. And we're done, I think. Oh, we're done. That's not good. Not done at all. Badly done. Making a drop on my clothes. Cook with me, but don't follow everything I do the way I do it. Good. I'm going to just taste a bit. Yeah, so this is, you feel the sweetness. You still feel the onion. I do feel, of course, the soya. It's not strong honey. It's just a kind of sweet sauce, rather sweetish sauce. It's not a very honey, and I don't think you would want that. But if you're the judge, of course, it's going to be more mild. I'm going to leave this here because we're going to use that, of course, in our plates. And now we're slowly going to prepare to fry. My rice is still not there yet. Good. I have my heavy pan. This is a carbon steel, so very heavy. It's, I don't know, 3 millimeters thick probably. You can see the side. Yes, there's some patin, so that's from seasoning it. If you don't have that, cast iron is of course just as good. It's just that my cast iron is slightly smaller and this one is a bit heavier. I think it's slightly better for this case, and also it's a bit more non-stick. If you have a non-stick pan only, be careful, simply because you're going to heat it quite a lot. We want to heat it so that it grills the meat very quickly and the rice. So heat it less, I guess. They don't like to be used as grilling pan, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to just clean a bit the board, because we're going to need to have for the serving. So we're going to every time basically take our meat, add some corn, add the butter, and add the pepper. So some pepper. What I put is around, I think it's around a teaspoon. Let me measure actually. Teaspoon or tablespoon? Let me put it in a tablespoon. Yeah, it's about so much of a tablespoon. It's a rough indication. Now, once you have the pepper in your mortar, if you use a mortar, just going to first crush a bit so that it doesn't fly everywhere. Put my hand on top, and once the top is crushed, just going to turn around. So like hold it, turn. And repeat a bit the same, because there are some pieces that are a bit big, and just we want something that is like, I want something that are like big pieces, but not as small as a, what do you call that, meal, like moulin. Roughly, let me show you some here. Roughly like this. That's what I'm aiming for, so that we have some flavor. Good. Can wash. My rice says 8 minutes. That does mean that I still have a little bit of time before really frying, but not a lot. Not a lot, so just preparing everything. And doing, of course, some cleaning. Don't worry, it's white vinegar. It doesn't go here, but even if it did, it's like food grade. There's no worry at all. Okay, let's be ready here. Opening everything, getting a spoon for what I need for serving. So 1 spoon to be able to serve the corn. A little knife. Actually, I don't need the knife. I will use spatula, my fish spatula, awesome for grilling. For the butter. You can put the butter, by the way, when grilling at the beginning or at the end. Both are fine version. I tried both. Sorry. I found that doing it at the beginning, of course, is going to brown a bit the butter. Health-wise, not really so advisable. If you don't brown it too much, I think it's fine. Taste-wise, I think it's better to add it at the end. It's a preference. Good. So remember, we're going to put the rice, fry the rice in some peanut oil, then add the meat on the side. Depending on how nice you want to do the presentation, classically in the restaurant they actually have a cast iron plate, just a plate, you know, that is very hot. So they put the rice in the middle, the beef on the side. It's in a lot of butter, oil, and you turn it yourself. That's the nicest presentation. If you want a bit of green, of course, you can add some scallion. We're not going to do that because we don't have so many things at home. What we're going to do is fry the rice a bit in the pan. Once it's a bit fried, put on the side the meat to grill it, and then add the corn, butter, pepper. We don't really want to cook the butter and pepper. We don't want to at all. The corn, just want to reheat it. It will reheat very quickly. And then serve in the plate. Add a little bit of sauce on it to the taste. So probably the best way for the sauce, so that everyone can flavor, we're going to put it on a different container on the table. So I'm going to prepare the table while the rice is still cooking. And tidy up a bit the rest. So we need plates. We need, like I said, 4 plates. What you want is to serve it generally with spoon and chopstick. That is, each one has a spoon and a pair of chopsticks. 1, 2. There already. And what am I missing? 4 minutes. Going to start heating the pan. I heat it generally on average power so that it doesn't put too much stress on the metal and doesn't start to become a spinning pan. Yes, the sauce, we need it in some container that we can use for serving. Don't look at this, it's not tidy. I'm going to put it in this glass because I don't have anything better. And probably in 2, since of course it's not going to fit in 1. So you're watching. Don't look at it, it's messy. And 2, and I have a tiny bit left that I will keep on the side for now. So it's heating, it's not yet hot. I mean, the best way that I think, there are 2 ways. You can just touch the side, it should be hot that you like touch it. It's like, yeah, I want to stop. Another ideal way kind of is that you take the spoon, put it here, and it should keep a marble. And we just have 2 minutes. So I don't think I will do that trick today, simply because I need to grill it this time. And hopefully you are at the same time as me and you're in the same situation. So let's get ready. And as my usual, just going to wait. Why waste the time? I wish you a happy dinner in advance. Hoping that you're managing to follow everything. If not, watching the video first. In any case, I want to hear how you enjoy this. As usual, this is the way that I found I can manage to share the video with you, and also I find it useful because frequently when I watch videos of other people cooking, it's like fast cut, and I get no idea of how long what takes, like what did they do to jump from one step to the next. So I wanted to share everything. Cheers to you. And remember to subscribe, comment, so on. Hit the bell. Rice pepper, not with red wine. I mean, if you want to mix it, not with red wine. Probably not so much like beer, even that meh. If I had to choose something, I probably will go Korean. I know this is not Korean. By the way, this dish is in Hong Kong. I discovered it. But I probably would go with soju if I had to mix something with it. Or it's tea. That would go. Good. Now this is getting hot on the side. The rice is telling me it's ready. I didn't put any oil yet, of course. We'll open the air ventilation. Now what I'm doing with my rice, I'm just opening it. Right, the rice cooker. It was closed during the whole time. Now it's just, I just open it so that let some steam go out and get a bit drier rice. Again, if you've done it the day before, like kept it in the fridge overnight, you don't need to do that. This is purely because this is fresh rice. You don't want to fry fresh rice. I'm going to move it a bit closer so that I can grab it. And just move it a little bit to get some of the steam, more steam out. I guess you can see it with the lights on, like that there's quite some steam coming out. That's my purpose here. It's not my purpose, it's my goal. The purpose in life is to get the steam out of rice. So that would be sad. That would be horribly sad. Okay, I'm losing patience. Let's get to the frying. Around a good, we need to be generous on oil. I don't like it, but for here I'm going to crank that up to, and going to put around 1 tablespoon of oil in the pan. I don't want it to steam, of course. I mean, I don't want to burn, to smoke the rice. So oil, rice, yes. So about 1/4 of rice. And now I'm letting it brown a little bit. Spreading it around, like breaking it apart. The biggest issue is that it may clump up together. That to me is the easiest thing that can happen. So just hitting it, like breaking it with a spatula. Again, something you cannot do as easily if you have a non-stick pan, simply because it will need some wooden spatula that is not as good for breaking things apart. Okay, I don't need it to be fully fried. I just want to fry it a little bit. Now I'll move it a bit on the side so that I can fry the meat, like grill it. One portion of meat. Spread it around. And that's going to grill very quickly, but I want it to be a bit brownish. It has more flavor. You can also have it some parts raw. That's perfectly fine. That's why you should have fresh meat. And that is still served normally with the meat raw on the side. So that if you don't cook it, it will be raw. I mean, if you don't like mix it, stir it, it will be raw. Good. Now, 1/4 of that can. By the way, let me remove the juice. I'm removing the juice from the corn. And I think I've browned a corner, so that's here 2.5 spoons. And now I'm going to mix a bit. And keeping the strong heat. You can do it in a wok. totally fine. I used to do it in the wok. It's just I found that frying the rice, was slightly easier in a heavy pan, and also it's probably easier for you. You more likely have a frying pan than you have a very strong wok. So I wanted to show you as well. And now adding the butter. And again, be rather generous. I would say that's at least the amount. I'm sure they put at least double in the restaurant, just looking at the difference. Now I can cut the heat now at this point. And just stir a bit. Just want the butter to melt at the bottom before I stir it strongly. That will help mixing everything together. Adding a quarter of the pepper. And we have one dish. So I'm scraping the bottom. Like I said, it's much easier once you have the butter that has melted. Even though yes, we did put oil at the beginning, but this is fresh rice. It just absorbs everything very quickly. And here I'm mixing at the same time. And on the plate. If you have scallion, you can sprinkle them on top for decoration, or in it if you just want to have some green in the flavor. Remember to have the sauce. Let me adjust that a tiny bit. The plating. It's not looking like the most appealing. It looks rather simple. It is in many ways rather simple. And let me put a little bit of sauce there. That's not looking looking good. I'm really bad at plating, but it is very good. Let me do one where I put it on the side. Maybe that will look much more appealing. Okay, let's heat it back to the second plate. If you're following, feel free to skip at this point. Just want to see if I can make something that is a bit more appealing, like what you get. I generally tend not to care too much about the appearance. This is YouTube, right? The thumbnail, you probably clicked on it because you saw the thumbnail. So I need something that at least looks decent enough on the thumbnail. And I know what I will do. I'm just going to fry some of the rice here. Wait a bit. Don't need too much. And do what they do, put the meat on the side. It'll give a much nicer picture. And you should be able also to find some other recipes that I did on, like, being shown at the end of this video. Okay, now meat. Delicious meat. Need to spread it around. All the people that went to that restaurant will recognize it much more this way than the other appearance. There we go. Totally optional at this point. It's way too early, but I mean, some of the fat won't hurt. I will need it later. Let's put the pepper on top. Oh yeah, that looks much better for the picture. Come on, butter. Spread around. Chisel. Oh. And there we go. That makes a much nicer picture. Hopefully it does. At least it will be the video. Like you saw it at the intro, like usual. I see it at the end. But I know it before, of course. And that's it. So, just going to mix it a little bit. Serve. That's it for this video. We're going to be ready here for eating. I wish you a very bon appetit. Hope you enjoyed it. See the other videos that will appear somewhere here, so that you can maybe decide if you want to eat something else. Let me know in the comment how it went. See you next time. Bye bye.